Hi, my name is Ilma and welcome to my channel. I have been posting Christian blogs 14 straight years every day. And today I'd like to share 2 Kings 17 verses 13 to 20. And here's the word of God. Yet the Lord warned Israel and Judah by every prophet and every seer, saying, Turn from your evil ways and keep my commandments and my statutes, in accordance with all the law that I commanded your fathers, and that I sent to you by my servants, the prophets. But they would not listen, but were stubborn as their fathers had been, who did not believe in the Lord their God. They despised his statutes and his covenant that he made with their fathers, and the warnings that he gave them. They went after false idols and became false, and they followed the nations that were around them, concerning whom the Lord had commanded them that they should not do like them. And they abandoned all the commandments of the Lord their God, and made for themselves metal images of 2 calves, and they made an Asherah and worshipped all the hosts of heaven and served Baal. And they burned their sons and their daughters as offerings, and used divination and omens, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of the Lord, provoking him to anger. Therefore the Lord was very angry with Israel, and removed them out of his sight. None was left but the tribe of Judah only. Judah also did not keep the commandments of the Lord their God, but walked in the customs that Israel had introduced. And the Lord rejected all the descendants of Israel, and afflicted them, and gave them into the hands of plunderers, until he had cast them out of his sight. 2 Kings 17, 13 to 20. Here's my poem. Stubbornness and idolatry provoke God's anger. When the Lord has chosen you as one of his children, he will give you the ability to follow and please him. But when your flesh and love for the world overtakes you, you will probably succumb to the flesh and turn against God. You will become persistent in getting your longings gratified. It will lead you to idols that you will obsess to chase and satisfy. The rebellion and chasing idols will surely provoke God's anger. Because he is holy and steadfast in his love, you will receive his justice. Here's my commentary. The account in this book of Kings presents the story of the provocation of the Israelites to God's anger. The Lord has sent many prophets and judges to Israel and Judah to warn them not to follow the footsteps of their wicked ancestors. But they seem to be deaf to these admonitions. The following sins that they did were explicitly enumerated in verses 14 to 17, which provoked the wrath of God. First, they didn't listen to the warnings and continued to be stubborn and didn't believe in God. Then they despised the laws that God has made for them to obey and broke the covenant. And then they chased pagan idols and followed the practices of the pagan nations around them. And they abandoned all the commandments of God and built images for Asherah and Baal. And they burned their own children for offerings and used divination. Doesn't our current world practice these sins as well as they did in the Old Testament time? Reflection. How does our world today provoke God's wrath? And what sins do we commit similar to theirs? Well, the first sin was unbelief. And so, yes, many people do not believe in God, or they could have false beliefs because they're trying to mix the world system with the laws of God. And in the second one, they despise God's law and has made for them to obey, and they broke the covenant. So when we are chosen by God, we are supposed to follow the agreement that we made, that he is there. He will be our God, and will be his people. So there's a responsibility that goes with that. And if you don't do your part in that covenant, then you're breaking it, you're breaching the covenant. So how do we do that? Some Christians actually do not look at their Christianity as a covenant, especially if they have come to the faith in their older age, where they did not grow up in the church, they did not grow up in doctrine. So they have truly not look at it in such a way that it is an honorable agreement that happened between God and his people. And then they chase pagan idol as well. We do chase idols. Anything could be an idol, anything that will take us away from prioritizing God. It could be work, it could be your spouse, it could be your children, it could be anyone you love so much, it could be a friend, it could be anything. It could be a hobby, it could be anything that will take away your priority of making God first in everything. Now, the abandonment of the commandments of God and building idols. Well, that goes to say with when we're surrounded by idolaters, we are going to learn their ways. So it's important for us to recognize who are these idolaters that can influence our holiness and can influence our purity towards God, because it will corrupt us. And they burn their own children for offerings. That is so crazy if you think about it. But didn't the people who tried to abort their children do this as well when they are trying to get rid of the responsibilities that was given to them by God? They offered it. It's like they're giving it to the devil because they have no responsibility and no love for that child that they kill. So, what about you? What do you think are the sins that our society commits that are similar to those sins that the Old Testament people did? And yeah, I think God was just when he did all the anger and the wrath and the punishment that he gave them, because they were just I could see how patient God still was, because he gave them all the prophets to warn them, he gave them everything, and yet they continued on with their wickedness. Thanks for watching. I hope you check my website at ilmaars.com for artworks, photographs, and a copy of this blog. Please subscribe to my channel on YouTube so I could make more videos, give you the word of God. And if you haven't already, check over 4,000 videos I've done. Over the years, I've been doing this daily. Just type on YouTube or Google search Ilma's Poem Devotional. Have a wonderful day.